On my wedding day, my fiancée whispered, "You'll regret every second of this." I thought she was joking, until the priest said, "You may kiss the bride." And she stepped back, turned to the guests and said, "Now watch him break." I just smiled and walked straight past her. 2 days later, she was sleeping in her dress on my porch. 41 missed calls. That morning, I stopped at the bakery she loved, the one with the pistachio cream puffs, tucked behind a crumbling antique shop and a laundromat with flickering lights. She said it smelled like her childhood, like sugar and steam and something warm, the kind of place you only find in small towns where nothing ever changes. It was her wedding day, our wedding day, and I wanted her to have one last surprise. I'd called the bakery 3 weeks earlier to special order a small pistachio cake just for her, to be delivered to our bridal suite after the reception. But when I saw it sitting there behind the glass, I thought, screw it, I'll pick it up myself. Snow was coming down in thick sheets. I was half frozen by the time I got back to my car, juggling the cake box and coffee. Still, I remember smiling like an idiot, imagining the look on her face when she saw it. That was the last moment I felt at peace. So I, 29M, was marrying Vanessa, 28F, who I met 6 years ago at a work conference neither of us wanted to attend. She wore a blazer she hated and spoke in perfectly practiced public relations sentences, until I made a joke about the finger sandwiches, and she laughed so hard she snorted. That's how it started. She had this way of making every little moment feel cinematic. Sunday grocery runs became date montages. Road trips felt like film reels. When I proposed to her, quietly in our kitchen, holding a slice of lemon meringue pie she'd made, I didn't think I was asking a question. I thought I was finishing a sentence we'd both been writing. The truth is, I didn't see it unraveling. Not even when the dress fittings became tense. Not when her cousins started dropping comments about settling. Not when she said I didn't have to do vows if I wasn't ready to be poetic. I thought it was nerves. I thought it was pressure. I thought love meant sticking through hard things. I didn't know I was loving someone who had already made a plan to humiliate me. The ceremony was at an old stone church that Vanessa insisted had gravitas. It did. High arches, candlelight, velvet pews. It looked like the kind of place kings and queens might marry in, or bury their enemies. I remember standing at the altar, shifting my weight, looking at Caleb, my best man, who mouthed, "Breathe, bro." I did, slowly. The string quartet struck up. Vanessa appeared at the end of the aisle. She looked stunning. Pale gold dress, hair swept back with those little pearl pins she picked out 6 months ago. But what hit me hardest wasn't how she looked. It was how she wasn't smiling. Not her real smile. Not the one she gave me when she woke up and reached for me in the dark. I thought, she's nervous. It's the pressure. Everyone gets jitters. She walked to me, took my hands, didn't say a word. The priest went through the motions. I said my vows. She said hers. Her voice never cracked, never wavered. When he said, "You may kiss the bride," she didn't lean in. Instead, she stepped back. One step, then another. She turned to face our guests, friends, family, co-workers, my grandmother in the second row with tissues balled in her hand. And then she said, loud and clear, "Now watch him break." The silence in the room was absolute. She looked back at me. No smile, no tears. "I told you this morning," she said, her voice almost chipper, "that you'd regret every second of this. You thought I was joking." I stood there, still holding her bouquet, still waiting for the punchline. She turned back to the guests. "This man," she said, "has spent the last 6 years trying to turn me into a version of myself he could control. He made me give up job offers, question my worth, sacrifice everything while he played at being enough." Her mother gasped. Caleb said my name quietly, like trying to anchor me in place. Vanessa dropped the bouquet at my feet like it burned. "But I'm done pretending. You all came here to watch a wedding. Instead, watch a rebirth." She stood tall, poised, waiting for me to collapse. I didn't. I smiled. Not out of malice. Not bravado. Just quiet, like a candle going out. I stepped forward, past her, down the aisle, between pews lined with frozen expressions and shattered expectations. I left the church without a word. No scene, no scream, no begging. Just done. That night, I checked into a roadside motel, stripped off the suit, placed the untouched pistachio cake on the dresser. I turned off my phone, not because I didn't expect it to ring, because I did. It vibrated nonstop. Messages, voicemails, missed calls. From her sister, from my own parents, confused and livid. But I didn't answer. 2 days later, I walked out onto my porch, coffee in hand, wearing the hoodie she hated, and found her there, still in the dress, makeup smeared, shoes missing, knees curled to her chest on the doormat. She looked up like she didn't believe I was real. "Please," she whispered. "We need to talk." My phone buzzed in my pocket. 41 missed calls. Update 1. She was asleep, or pretending to be, curled up like a child, clutching her phone like it could fix what she shattered. Dress torn at the seam, makeup streaked down her cheek, one heel dangling off her foot, her hair still pinned, like she couldn't accept that the wedding was over. Like if she held still long enough, someone would yell, "Cut!" and reset the scene. But this wasn't a movie, and I wasn't coming back to the altar. I stood in the hallway just out of sight from the door, holding a coffee I didn't drink, staring at her through the tiny slit in the blinds. Every few minutes, her phone lit up. She checked it, waited, slid it back into her lap. She didn't knock. She didn't have to. She knew I was in there, and I knew that if I opened that door, even just an inch, everything she said, everything she did, would become a misunderstanding, a joke, a performance piece. She'd smile that same way she did in the chapel and twist it into some sick metaphor about vulnerability and the illusion of love. So I didn't move. I watched. Around 6:30 a.m., Daniel texted me again. "She's been calling everyone. Told her parents you just walked out mid-vow. Left out the part where she humiliated you in front of 150 people. Her mom's furious. Wants to talk. I told her you're gone." Gone. That word hit different, because I wasn't sure yet. I wasn't sure if I was gone for a few days or gone for good. My mind was quiet but not empty. I wasn't angry. I wasn't planning revenge. I was just done playing the role. She wanted an audience? Let her play to silence. By 9 a.m., she finally knocked. Not loud, not desperate, just a soft, rhythmic tap, like she was testing the edges of my resolve. I didn't answer. She sat back down and pulled her knees to her chest. Another hour passed. I got in the shower, shaved, packed a bag. I didn't rush. I didn't tiptoe. I wanted her to hear me moving, to know I was there, choosing not to answer. Every zipper, every drawer, every footstep intentional. When I opened the garage door from inside the house, I saw her head snap up. She stood quickly, limping a little as she tried to fix her dress. "Can we just talk? Please, just 5 minutes. I messed up. I was nervous. I didn't mean to." I didn't stop walking. She stepped in front of the car. "You can't just leave like this. Don't you want to hear why?" I looked at her, really looked at her. She wasn't sorry. She was cornered. There's a difference. So I did the only thing that felt honest. I said nothing, started the engine, backed out slow, and drove around her. In the mirror, I saw her still standing there, mouth open like she couldn't believe I didn't play along. I booked a cabin 2 hours away. One room, no Wi-Fi, barely a signal. Just trees, a stove, and time. That was yesterday. This morning, 76 missed calls. 31 messages. Voicemails from her. From her mom. Even one from the maid of honor who said she had no idea it was going to go that far. My favorite message? "You embarrassed me in front of everyone. Do you even care what people are saying about me right now?" That told me everything I needed to know. Update 2. It's been 4 days. For days since I backed out of the driveway and drove around the woman I nearly married. For days since I watched her in the rearview, still in her dress, still stunned that I didn't play my part. She wanted me to react, yell, cry, chase. Instead, I disappeared. She underestimated silence. I've been staying at an old lake house my grandfather left me. It's not in my name. She never knew it existed. I come here when life feels too loud, and right now it's deafening. There's no Wi-Fi. No distractions. Just wind through pine needles and the occasional deer tapping its hoof near the deck. I didn't bring much. Just a duffel bag, my laptop, and my old notebook. The one she once called pointless therapy scribbles. I've been filling it fast. But I haven't turned my phone off. Because watching her unravel has been a kind of therapy in itself. Day 1. She sent a 3-minute voice note titled, "Please just let me explain." I didn't listen. The transcript started with, "It was a social experiment," and ended with, "I didn't think you'd actually leave." That told me enough. Her mother called next. 5 times. Left a voicemail that sounded more like a legal warning than a maternal outreach. We can still control the narrative if you respond now. Please don't escalate this. Narrative. That's the word that keeps repeating. Like this is a PR crisis, not a life she tried to blow up for applause. Day 2. My cousin texted me a link. She posted a long, rambling monologue on Instagram. Captioned it, "Why I walked away from a marriage that wasn't built on truth." She tried to frame it like she left me, that she saw red flags, that she took a bold stand. Unfortunately for her, Daniel was already ahead of her. He uploaded a raw, unedited clip from the ceremony, captured on his phone. It showed everything, her smirk, her whisper, her turning to the crowd and saying, "Now watch him break." He uploaded it without sound editing. No filter, just real-time betrayal. Then he posted a second video, just a black screen with the words, "He didn't break. He walked." The comments blew up. Her own followers turned on her. A few of them messaged me privately. One girl, who used to post with her every weekend, wrote, "I'm sorry, we thought it was a joke. We didn't know it was real. Neither did I, until she made it real." Day 3, I got a letter, handwritten, delivered by courier. It started with, "I wish you had let me say this in person." She wrote about how the pressure of being perfect made her crave control. Said she never felt like the wedding was hers. That humiliating me was her way of reclaiming something. She used the word empowerment a lot, but never used the word sorry. Not once. She didn't apologize. She explained. She rationalized. She narrated her own downfall. At the bottom of the letter was one line that stuck out. "If you walk away now, you destroy both of our reputations." There it was. Not "you hurt me," not "I miss you," not "I was wrong," but "you'll ruin the image." Day 4. This morning I opened a separate account. Not for money, for truth. Daniel and I are working on something. A documentary short. We're calling it The Groom Who Left. Not for revenge. Not for clout. For closure. Because silence worked. But some things deserve to be spoken aloud. She tried to bury me under public spectacle. Now she's about to learn what it feels like to stand alone under a spotlight she lit herself. Update 3. 1 week. It's been exactly 7 days since she stood in front of 150 people and told them to watch me break. She thought she was the one holding the pen. She thought she was writing my humiliation. She didn't know I already had the ending. Let me tell you what she never expected. That this wasn't the first time she betrayed me. Let's rewind 3 months. A client I'd worked with in 2021 reached out. He needed consulting for a new investment venture. Casual lunch, nothing serious. Midway through the meeting, he asked if I still lived on Ashwood Lane. I never told him I moved. Confused, I asked why he brought it up. He smiled, slow, and said, "Oh, I just assumed you two still lived there together. Your fiancée listed it as her address on the lease application." Lease? That night, while she was asleep, I opened her laptop. Same password she'd used since college. Inside her downloads folder was a folder titled, "July Plan Final." Inside were PDFs, the lease agreement, a moving checklist, a prenup nullification strategy, the Google Doc, post-wedding financial disentanglement draft, and the final punch, a joint email draft to our HR department stating we'd be divorcing but wanted civil, collaborative closure. It was dated 6 weeks before our wedding. I didn't confront her. I copied everything to a drive, encrypted it, and mailed a copy to a lawyer my dad once told me to keep on standby, just in case you ever find yourself with a pretty face and a pit in your gut. So when she pulled her little stunt at the altar, when she whispered, "You'll regret every second of this," and told the crowd to watch me break, I was already gone. I had my exit plan in motion. She thought she was playing chess. She didn't know I was playing pre-recorded footage. Now here's where it gets good. 2 days ago, I met with her father. He asked to speak in person. I agreed. We met at a quiet cafe off the interstate neutral ground. He ordered coffee. Black. Didn't speak for the first few minutes. Then he took a deep breath and said, "Tell me what you know." I slid a flash drive across the table. No words, just evidence. He didn't react, just nodded. Then he handed me a folded envelope. Inside, a notarized document and a letter. The letter read, "If you're reading this, then she made the choice I feared she would. My assets, my estate, and my company shares are no longer part of her future. This is not punishment. This is protection. For you." For your future children. For your name. She had no idea. Her inheritance gone. Her father had been watching from a distance, waiting to see which version of his daughter would show up at the altar. She showed him the worst one. But here's the twist you've been waiting for. The Instagram meltdown, the failed girl boss spin, the desperate voicemails. They were all background noise. What mattered was the anonymous email I received 3 days ago. No name. Just this subject line. Check her storage unit. Took me half a day to find the right one. Rented under her college roommate's name. Paid in cash. Inside, boxes. Labeled in her handwriting. Old photos, edited. Texts, screenshots. Voice memos, practice runs. And one labeled, insurance. Inside that last box were 2 things. A burner phone with hundreds of saved texts between her and a man listed as E. A printed receipt for a private investigator. She wasn't planning to just humiliate me. She was collecting documentation, false narratives, twisted edits, manipulated text chains, to use in a potential defamation suit after the wedding. To spin the story in court if I ever pushed back legally. To frame me. The wedding wasn't just betrayal. It was entrapment. A full-blown PR execution attempt. And I ruined it by not reacting. By walking away, I gave her nothing to twist. No angry emails. No cruel words. Just silence. Today, I sent the box and its contents, plus the wedding footage, to 3 people. Her father, my attorney, and the HR director at her firm. Her contract had a morals clause. This morning, she was terminated. Not laid off. Not furloughed. Terminated with cause. And just like that, her name vanished from the company site, the event boards, and the speaking engagements she loved so much. I didn't say a word. Didn't gloat. Didn't text. Didn't post. She wanted the world to see me break. Now she's the one being watched. That's the end. No revenge. No outburst. No viral clip. Just quiet exposure. Paper trails. Silence that split her entire performance in half. I walked away from the altar with nothing but my integrity. She walked away thinking she'd humiliated me. But she'll spend the next decade explaining herself to people who no longer care what she says. And me? I'm finally free.